Yeah, this tweet is from Jeremy Kaufman. He says, a fact that changed my perspective on multiculturalism. At all income levels, blacks are 5 to 10 times more violent and criminal than whites. Crime rates will vary by region or income, but inside of any subgroup, the ethnical ratio seems to hold. If you know contradictions, please share. This fact hasn't changed how I interact with any black individual. The majority of blacks are non-criminal, and facts about groups are never conclusions about individuals, which is so true. But facts about groups are still facts. If the proposal is to change the demographic makeup of America, it is not woke to notice that this is likely to change America.
I have a special guest with us. Kit Cabello is here. She's the co-founder and host of Hard Lens Media, a native resident of Chicagoan. Kit served 2 tours in Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom in the United States Marine Corps. Welcome back to the show, Kit Cabello. Hey, Kit, how are you?
It's always a pleasure to be here, Jimmy. Thank you for having me back on.
Now, as we know, ICE has descended onto Chicago, and they had a big raid where they used Apache helicopters. We're going to get to that in a second because it's very depressing. But I want to kick this off with this video of here's a guy who got away from ICE in Chicago. You want to watch? This is fun. Let's watch. So I guess he drove up on these on a bike. He's a delivery guy, and he's telling them F Trump. That's what it sounded like he was saying to me, F Trump.
Yeah.
And let's watch how this turns out. So they try to go get him. What they should do is they should have more. They should act like they're more in a. I don't know why they're allowed to. There should be a law that if you're a policeman in the United States, you're not allowed to wear a mask.
I think Gavin Newsom just promoted that in California, that ICE can't wear masks.
That's the one thing I can agree with Gavin Newsom. That is creepy. That is not
what China does.
That is what China does. Do they do that, Kurt? Really?
No, not the cops. The Interior Ministry, if they come for you, they dress like that. They dress like the Interior Ministry.
Yeah,
the cops there don't even have guns, but the Interior Ministry is scary, and they mask up like that.
Okay, so yeah, this is like China. So I'm 100% against them wearing masks. Also, why don't you pretend like you're in Iraq? Kit, you were actually in Iraq. These guys are on the streets of Chicago, and they're dressed like they're in Mosul.
Yeah. So I seeing this happen in the streets of Chicago, I'm wondering, okay, well, it's forced escalation. You are definitely showing your military presence and also trying to intimidate any Chicagoans, because it's something I've only seen just when I was doing my first tour in Baghdad. I was doing site security in the Green Zone, and I was part of Force MEB Anti-Terrorism Battalion, Alpha Company, and just, okay, great. We're patrolling the streets of Chicago. I didn't know that Chirac would live up to its name to being the new Iraq.
So, we've said on the show, whatever they do overseas, they're eventually going to do to us here at home. And take a look. There it is. So he's not in Baghdad. He's on the super clean streets of Chicago. If you ever walked around Chicago, it looks like it's so clean. It's like a shopping mall. It's a beautiful city. No kidding. I was just there. So, and you know why? Because we have alleys in Chicago, which they don't have in New York. But anyway, so let's watch what happens. Maybe I should put on some more gear, because watch what happens.
What's up?
Oh, it's like the Three Stooges.
Got away.
He's my hero.
Play the Benny Hill music.
Hey, maybe
that's to be played.
Maybe you guys should put on some. Maybe you guys should act like you're more in Iraq instead of on the streets of Chicago. Why? What do you guys? What do you dress like? What do are you worried about sniper fire? Are you worried about hand grenades? Are you worried about mortars? Are you worried about being shelled? You guys are walking around the streets of. Maybe you should put on some more heavy gear so that you can't catch anybody.
There's 2 things to look at. First of all, number one, the video is hilarious, Jimmy. I mean, the guy didn't do anything wrong. But second, what was his crime?
What was his crime?
Because they chased after him. He did not physically assault them. He did not have a weapon. He's completely unarmed. He's harmless, really. The fact that they escalated, I wondered what would happen in an alternate scenario if he did get caught. Would they have brutalized him? Would they have taken?
Of course, they would have
interrogated. And this is the question that many Chicagoans are going to have to wonder now, as the National Guard is going to be deployed. I went to get my paper today. Front headline: 300 National Guardmen to be deployed for 60 days in Illinois.
So that's to me that's a feel good video. That's I like that video. Let's is there anything else at the end? No, that's it.
No, that's it.
It is Benny Hill. So these badass ICE agents are dressed up like they're in a combat zone, and they're in one of the cleanest, nicest cities in the country, and and there they are, really like overweight Benny Hill losers. That's what they look like, because that's what they are. So now let's get on to the not so fun part of the show. So this happened. So there was a major raid in Chicago. Over 300 ICE agents stormed a building overnight with some fat. Now this happened last week, right? What day was this?
This is October 1st.
October 1st, right? So this is last Wednesday. So 30 criminal illegal aliens were arrested, including members of the Tren de Agua, a designated terrorist organization. Okay, none of that means anything. So all of a sudden you hear about Tren de Agua. It's all you. None of that. They can call anybody a terrorist they want. That's all. Okay, so don't. They called Amy Goodman a terrorist when she was protesting a pipeline. Don't. They called Jill Stein a terrorist. They'll call anybody a terrorist. They were all sheltered under Governor J.B. Pritzker's watch. This crackdown just sent shockwaves to Chicago. So here it is from the AP. They used helicopters and chemical agents. Immigration agents become increasingly aggressive in Chicago. Why would you be dressed like that? Why would you be dressed like you need camouflage on a concrete street?
Well, what's happening, Jimmy, is there is a concern of many of these ICE agents being doxxed, but already their actions have further antagonized and intensified reactions from many of the protesters and activist groups in Chicago and in greater Illinois. But already the fact that they have been moving around carte blanche with no real pushback from Mayor Brandon Johnson or Governor J.B. Pritzker. The situation on the ground here in the city in Illinois is that the politicians, as much as they want to declare lawfare, they really don't have anything to really oppose ICE, including when the CPD superintendent says, yeah, we're not going to intervene with the FBI or ICE or any other federal agents. So hands are tied, and this is just going to be a powder keg that's just going to continue to be at risk of exploding in the streets.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Remember when we were playing the footage of all the black Chicagoans angry at that mayor for putting a bunch of undocumented immigrants?
I got those.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Is that why is that why? Because they had all that pressure from their own constituents over it?
Okay, so here's the thing. The raid that happened, and it wasn't Apache helicopters, they were Black Hawk helicopters that took place for that raid. Activist, organizer, mayoral candidate Jamal Green, who I've had on the show a few times, did a 3-minute video breaking down about why this raid took place. When the when the sanctuary city was finally proposed, or Chicago to be a sanctuary city, the problem is, these are feel-good points, as I've spoken before on my show. The trouble was the politicians put all the migrants, especially when governors of Florida and Texas sent all the migrants to sanctuary cities, including Chicago, into the south and west side neighborhoods of Chicago, a already hyper-segregated city, and especially in two areas that are economically struggling.
So they sent these immigrants into black neighborhoods that are economically struggling.
Yep.
And of course there was pushback. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was because they deemed Chicago a sanctuary city without any plan on how to pay for it.
There was never a plan, Jimmy. We asked that question, myself and Daniel, way back in 2018 when the conversation was initially getting started, and we got 3 answers. Oh, yes, we do have a plan. 2, we were called racist or bigoted, that we didn't understand just how things were being played out, and we should just shut up. Or number 3, my personal favorite, they just turned their backs on us and walked away. So when we asked the activists and organizers and politicians and people who were running for office, hey, can we do this? It wasn't asked out of malice. Can the city survive this? No one really had an answer. There was no plan, and now we're $1.1 billion in the hole, Jimmy. That's how bad Chicago is.
Sounds like that's the plan. Sounds like it was the plan.
Yeah. So, and now they're using helicopters and guys coming down from helicopters, from Black Hawk helicopters on ropes into people's houses and apartments. And I mean, you can't give those guys all that cool equipment without them coming up with excuses to use it. That's what this is. I mean, it's a good thing we didn't give them Star Wars swords, or else they'd be lopping off hands holding cell phone cameras. Right? I mean, you give them that stuff that they're going to use it. And then here it is. They're using helicopters and chemical agents. Yep. And chemical agent, I had one of those in the 90s because he was completely toxic. I'll tell you that. But anyway, that's another story. Storming an apartment complex by helicopters as families slept, deploying chemical agents near a public school, handcuffing a Chicago City Council member at a hospital. Activists, residents, and leaders say increasingly combative tactics used by federal immigration agents are sparking violence and fueling neighborhood tensions in the nation's third largest city. So again, there's a way to do this. This is not the way to do this. This is unbelievable. You're taking it's to me, it's nuts. I mean,
the response from the city government is absolutely abysmal too, because the city government doesn't have a plan. They say that they're going to take care of the migrants and work with the activists, but then again, it's nothing but word salad. Brandon Johnson is declaring that some parts of the city will be off limits. Good luck enforcing it, because how are you going to do it? Because ICE has already showed that they were patrolling here in the city way back in February earlier this year. Yeah,
well. So here's what J.B. Pritzker says. He says they are the ones that are making it a war zone. They fire tear gas and smoke grenades, and they make it look like it's a war zone. More than 1,000 immigrants have been arrested since an immigration crackdown started last month in the Chicago area. The Trump administration has also vowed to deploy National Guard troops in its agenda to boost deportations, but U.S. citizens, immigrants with legal status, and children have been among those detained in increasingly brazen and aggressive encounters which pop up daily across the neighborhoods in the city of 2.7 million and its many suburbs. Activists and residents were taking stock Sunday at an apartment building in Chicago's South Side, where the Department of Homeland Security said 37 immigrants were arrested recently in an operation that's raised calls for investigation by Pritzker. So, while federal agents have mostly focused on immigrant-heavy and Latino enclaves, the operation early Tuesday, so I guess it was Tuesday, unfolded in the largely black South Shore neighborhood that had a small influx of migrants resettled in Chicago while seeking asylum. So that's what you were just talking about, how they sent these migrants into these already economically struggling neighborhoods of black people. Agents used unmarked trucks and a helicopter to surround the 5-story apartment building. News Nation, which was invited to observe the operation, reported agents repelled from Black Hawk helicopters. Agents then went door to door, woke up residents, and used zip ties to restrain them. Wow. You don't think this is to psychologically prepare us for when it's everyone else's turn, right?
It looks like the case. I mean, Trump wanted revenge with all the lawfare put on him. Chicago was the center of the DNC convention last year. I mean, we were all there.
Yeah.
And it was very clear to me at one point that Trump was very well going to likely get reelected on November 5th. 2 districts in this city turned red, which is a miracle in its own right. My family's been living here for generations. That's never happened. Of course, Trump was going to come here. Of course, Trump was going to want his revenge.
So residents and Illinois Coalition for Immigrants and Refugee Rights said that those who were zip-tied included children and U.S. citizens. So it's like everybody's for, I mean, most people, not everybody, but most people I think are for legal immigration and getting rid of illegal immigration. I think most people would be for that. But when you do it like this, now you're going to get people who are against you doing this. Roderick Johnson, a U.S. citizen briefly detained, said agents broke through his door and placed him in zip ties. I asked if they had a warrant, and I asked for a lawyer. He's 67-year-old guy. They never brought a warrant. I don't understand. I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like even if you're ICE, you need a warrant. No, I guess not. Dixon Romeo with Southside Together, an organization that's also been helping residents, said doors were knocked off the hinges. Everyone we talked to didn't feel safe. This is not normal. It's not okay. It's not right. Pritzker, a two-term Democrat and a piece of garbage, directed state agencies to investigate claims that children were zip-tied and detained separately from their parents, saying military-style tactics shouldn't be used on children. Military-style tactics should not be used on anybody. How about that?
Outside of Gaza, of course.
Of course. So guess who else thinks terrorists are children are terrorists? Guess who else does? That's right, the IDF and Benjamin Netanyahu. DHS officials said they were targeting connections to the Tren de Agua gang. What do you think about that, Kurt?
I think they brought them in the first place with all those NGOs so you could get upset that they're here. And this is the dialectic I'm talking about. This little pageant they do. First of all, why would they be the state and the feds be fighting about enforcing a law that everybody that shouldn't even be a thing. They're doing it. The reason they're tying kids up is to piss off the other side and keep it going.
That's right.
You got to keep the scam going forever. So yeah, obviously there's just laws you would enforce. You would think you would have cooperation, but much like what they did with Roe v. Wade, these things are great touch points to get the fight going, and these people don't deliver for their constituents ever. Right. So they need this. They need you to be pissed because you saw that image, or you to be happy because you saw that image. And you're never supposed to get what you want. You're supposed to rejoice in the misfortune of the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just to add on to this too, before even the idea of sanctuary cities took place, you know, there were some images that I wish would still go viral. But in 2018, myself and Daniel, we covered at the Gary Chicago International Airport how nonviolent immigrants who were caught in Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin were brought to the Gary Chicago International Airport and were tied up and supposed to crawl on the stairs to the airplane so they would be deported out. Now, when we covered it, all those activists successfully, there was like 100 people who showed up. The buses did not deliver the migrants. Instead, they're going to Gary Chicago International Airport, and the buses were stopped. They were rerouted then to O'Hare Airport.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
I could send you the old video. I have to look for it, but I could send it to you. It's very apropos to what we're witnessing now, because I have to wonder what's going to happen to a lot of these people who are being detained, who are at Broadville or going to any other facility that ICE is right now currently managing.
And so, of course, they say they're going after gangs and they're going after drug. Why do you have to use a Black Hawk helicopter, rappel into a residential building, and then bust down everybody's doors? A 67-year-old guy, you put him in zip ties? A U.S. resident? Obviously, that guy's not an immigrant. He was a black guy in his own building. So they're proud. Again, it's exactly what Kurt is saying. This is to make sure we keep a left-right battle going. And here's the stupid video that Kristi Noem tweeted out about it. Do you want to see this video they released? This is what they're
weird.
This is what they're bragging about. This is what. So they're doing this in America. They're doing this to American residential apartment buildings, and they're bragging about it. Watch this. So they're turning. Now, Kit, you were in Iraq. It looks like they're pretending they're in Iraq they're fighting a military, and instead they're actually busting down doors, dressed up like they're in Iraq, but they're actually in Chicago. And
there's a couple. Sorry, go ahead.
And so what do you have to say about that when you see something? To me, that looks so ridiculous. Like they're trying to act like they're badasses, and they're not. But go ahead.
We gave this warning so long ago. I already said it already earlier during this segment about, the questions we asked a lot of the people saying like, hey, can we take care of the migrants? Because another follow-up was, hey, what happens if Trump gets reelected? What happens if he returns? Because this is an opening salvo for him to come back, because there was no plan to take care of the migrants. We already have residents who are upset. You have City Hall up in arms. You have people yelling at the mayor. And a video like this, perception sadly drives reality, in which you have this video showing Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor J.B. Pritzker by proxy being impotent and unable to stop this. Mayor Brandon Johnson is losing face because he's at 6.6% and losing the trust of the people. I mean, people want him gone. And then you have Governor J.B. Pritzker threatening to sue Trump. All in the while, this is still happening. The ICE raids are still going on. When I just got done wrapping up my show 2 days ago, there was a Walmart raid, and Benny Johnson was covering it with Chrissy Nome here in my city. So these things are happening, and it's a show of force. And it's to psychologically, one, make everyone afraid and get the other side upset with the images, just like Kurt said, of seeing people getting detained and tied up and then getting people to turn out to vote for the midterm election of 2026, not realizing that the Democrats could have avoided this years ago. The Republicans could have avoided this years ago. These politicians are just playing games with people and using them. There was never a real plan for any real stability. And so when you get propaganda videos like this, it's going to energize one side and infuriate the other side, thus leading to what we are seeing with the protest between ICE and the local sheriffs and police departments and the protesters. And it's going to continue to escalate, and it's not going to go ahead and end anytime soon, because on October 18th, there's going to be a No King's March protest or parade, however which way you want to call it.
Except for the King of England. We still like that royalty, but we just don't. Everybody, they're all idiots. Do you remember Laura Loomer, the beautiful Laura Loomer's tweet?
Hey,
you want Larry Ellison to spy on all these on the No Kings protest. You want it. So that's where it's all going. All that AI bullshit and all that, they're going to be watching you 24/7. This is all leading to that. And the thing of like, oh, you're getting the drugs in the gangs. I wish you hadn't brought the drugs in the gangs first and then did that. You're not really a hero if you brought all that shit in, which they did.
So here's what Chicago Sun-Times talks about these raids. Ebony Sweets Watson, who lives across the street, said it looked like hundreds of agents were outside her front door. Watson said she saw agents dragging residents, including kids, out of the building without any clothes on and into U-Haul vans. Kids were separated from their mothers, she said. It was heartbreaking to watch, even if you're not a mother, seeing kids coming out buck naked and taken from their mothers. It was horrible. There's another one. Most of the neighbors were Venezuelan and often took turns cleaning. So Jones, who lives on the 4th floor, said most of his neighbors were Venezuelan and often took turns cleaning the hallway because the property owners did little to maintain it. They were cool people, Jones said as he looked into the next door neighbor's unit. They didn't speak a lick of English, but we used translator apps to talk to each other. Jones wondered what would happen to his neighbor's young children. Jones and Johnson said they believed that landlord would kick out the remaining residents from the building, which public records show had previously received code violations. So
I want to know who the landlord is, actually. Because these buildings that are being raided, why have they been lacking oversight? Who is observing them? Because on top of that, too, there was a shelter that was proposed to be built, and the residents didn't want it for 2 reasons. One, they weren't told about it, and 2, it was being built on a Superfund site. Who's in control of the property? It's the big question. Who's in control of that building?
So some of the people in Chicago are not on board. Well, here's what some of the people some of the people in Chicago are not against this, which, again, I think most people are for legal immigration and most people are for weeding out illegal immigrants. It's the way they're doing it. That's the big problem. And despite the rumors flying around about Black Americans being detained or deported in the South Shore Chicago ICE raid, that's simply not true. Well, we already heard from a 67-year-old guy who was zip-tied. Those targeted were immigrants in a building housing Venezuelan asylum seekers, not U.S. citizens. And so here's what a resident says, okay?
All right, so let me help you out with this one, okay? Since you don't get it. I literally live around the corner from where that happened at, okay? And not all Black people were detained. It was just a couple of Black folks in a building that nobody was supposed to be in. Yeah, they didn't tell you that narrative, that nobody was supposed to be in that building. No.
Have you heard that, Kit? That nobody was supposed. What does that mean? Nobody was supposed to be in that building.
Well, the building's operational, but technically it's not suitable for human habitation. And not to mention, there could be citations against the landlord. There could be other code violations. So the thing is, like, yes, there's buildings there. Should people be in them? No, yes.
It's a
maybe.
squat, or they're renting it? Or
Well, there is a
squat?
landlord.
Whatever you want, Kurt. The world's the choice is yours. Option A, B, C, and D. It's Chicago. There's no such thing as legit.
All right, let's let's listen to the rest of what this guy has to say.
Body. Also, that's a building full of clucks. You do know what clucks is, right? Also,
a cluck. Okay, he said it's a building full of clucks. Now, if you don't know what a cluck is a drug addict who doesn't have the money to support his habit. A cluck will often try to scrounge drugs or small amounts of money to buy drugs from anyone they know. And when they engage in this behavior that resembles chickens, that cluck, peck and scratch for any morsel of food they can find. So that's what a cluck is. A cluck is a drug addict who doesn't have the money to support his habit. Okay.
The Venezuelans went through that building and took over the whole building. Not forcefully, but they just started moving in apartments they ain't had no business moving into. Also, it's a lot of Venezuelans that look black. You know, like Cubans and Dominicans. There are some Venezuelans that look black. So guess what? If you didn't have your ID or no proof that you had residency there, then yes, they were detaining you. Because number one, you wasn't supposed to be in the building. Number two, the landlord don't own the building no more. The bank owned that building. Number three, it was a gang of Venezuelans in all apartments that weren't even supposed to be in them apartments. So hell yeah, they detained everybody so they can sort it out and find out who is who. That's what happened. So once again, I'm still with deportation of the immigration, of the immigrants.
So we've seen this before. So the people in the community are against these migrants coming in, especially illegal migrants, people who are here illegally. They're against them. And how do I know this? Because, well, here's a video of them yelling at a city council meeting at the mayor about this.
Now, allegedly, inside sources tell me that you're going to use your $840 million in cash bonds to try and get reelected. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's not happening. I am demanding a forensic audit from Pam Bundy and Cash Patel for you to come here, or for you guys to come here and do a forensic audit on the mayor of Chicago. We have been calling for the Attorney General and the leader of the FBI for months now. Please do not forget about us. Harboring illegal aliens in America who commit crimes is a violation of the Constitution. I hope Trump and his team are listening and take action as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments.
You're not only the most incompetent mayor, you're the most progressive mayor, you're the most woke mayor in the city of Chicago. Where's the revenue going to go? Is it going to go to the deficit because of your math, or is it going to go to the illegals that you love so much? So here's the thing. What's going to happen is this. You are going to go to prison before you get elected out of office. You was over there in Congress sweating yourself to death. Didn't know how much that you gave to the illegal. $600 million that you put in their pockets at the time. You protect these illegal more than you protect the women of Chicago. You protect the illegals more than the blacks in Chicago. You protect the illegals more than the children who've been victimized and stuff of crime. Either you're close friend with the devil or you're sleeping with the devil. I don't know.
I don't even talk to you no more. I have no respect for you. You're raggedy. Your administration is raggedy. The Democratic Party is detrimental to America. And you, by far, have continued to let it just do whatever because you don't care, because you done stole so much money, right? And you done went down to Congress and lied under oath because you were just an idiot. You are a weak man. You are a traitor. Please bring in ICE because we are under attack.
So that's what people were saying a long time ago in Chicago, that exactly what Kit said. They took these migrants, people who are here illegally, and shipped them into these poor black neighborhoods. And they were like, wait a minute, we've been paying taxes our whole life. Where are you getting all these millions and millions of dollars to support these? Because it's a sanctuary city. And as Kit said, they never had a plan to be a sanctuary city. They never knew where to get the money from. All of a sudden, now they're over $1 billion in debt. And a lot of that money went to this migrant problem. And
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, or do you know, or either guys know, what I thought was that sanctuary cities, the idea, that was like originally a Republican thing, like Reagan or H.W. Bush. Am I wrong about that? I could have swore that was a Republican initiative, that sanctuary cities back in the Nicaragua war days.
Oh, maybe you're right about that.
Maybe about that.
But now it's certainly switched.
It has, and the thing is, like, it was nothing but virtue signaling, Kurt, for people who wanted Chicago to be a sanctuary city. And when they got what they wanted, everyone went to brunch as soon as Biden and Kamala went to office. And even then, the disasters kept on getting worse. First, again, it's easy to blame Brandon Johnson for all his failures, but then again, you also have to add in Lightfoot and her contribution to the failure.
Right.
So it's everyone. And you could even, maybe if you want to add in a Manuel too, he didn't play too much of a role, but definitely Lightfoot. And of course now Mayor Brandon Johnson, which again, in my opinion, he's going to be a one-term mayor. And allegedly, there are reports of him having panic attacks, allegedly, according to a lot of people online. But is there any proof to it? No, but with what he's going through,
should be.
I wouldn't be surprised. $1.1 billion in the hole.
Okay. You don't have to be a psychopath not to have a panic attack in that situation. Look, if Trump's not really in charge, you think this guy is?
Right. So here is the mayor of Chicago is actually now, I don't know if you know about this kid. He's come out and he's trying to, he signed an executive order creating ICE-free zones to ban ICE agents from city property. Let's listen.
And today we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
So what do you make of that, Kit?
I'm going to make a statement here on your show. Mark my words, these buildings that are quote unquote ICE-free zones, one of them, they're going to commandeer one of them just to challenge Mayor Brandon Johnson. I think this is his only way to really try and take a swing at Trump, and it's going to fail miserably. Anything this mayor has done will be epic failure. There's nothing to applaud here.
So what he's setting up, correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt, instead of working with ICE, and
to not make it like this. That's a great idea.
Instead of working with ICE to not make it like that.
Yeah.
What he's going to do is set up a clash between Chicago police and ICE. Because what if happens if ICE goes and defies his executive order and starts to do things on city property? And are the Chicago cops going to go now and try to arrest the ICE officers? The ICE officers are armed like they're in the middle of Baghdad, right?
And already the CPD, as I mentioned before, the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department said that they are not going to intervene or interrupt ICE or FBI agent operations. There was a video on which the cops did get tear gas at one of the protests. I think these are on Saturday or Sunday. But nonetheless, I mean, is this what the mayor is going to try and do? Have a conflict between the Chicago Police Department and ICE? Because if that's the case, it's going to end up even worse for the mayor because he's terrible. He's one of our worst. When you are more hated than Lightfoot, you have to be an all-star professional moron to get that championship.
I had a feeling because we reported on it when he first came in. I think Jimmy had a feeling too, like, well, he's saying this and that, but I don't know. That's why I don't believe in Mondavi.
Me neither. Zoloft Mondavi. Now let me ask you, Kit. His approval rating, did I hear you say his approval rating is at 6%?
6.6%. He goes by the nickname of Mayor 6.6%. This whole city hates him from the north side to the south side. If there's Jimmy, you know this city's divided. We don't agree on a lot of things. But when the whole city hates you and the city can unite around that, it's like with Chance the Snapper, the alligator. Everybody fell in love with that little alligator, right? The whole city was rallying around that little alligator. Everyone was so happy that he was caught alive and he's living a good life. Everyone hates this mayor. He's going to be a one-term mayor in 2027. It's going to be a complete circus of who's going to be vying for the throne that was set up by Old Man Daley.
So he is less popular than what, an alligator they found in the sewer?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Chance the Snapper, the alligator that was found in 2019, could probably run this city far better than him. All right.
Well, the 6% that like him, that's got to be the donors, I would imagine, and that's who's in charge of what he's doing. That idiot has no ideas of his own. You could say he clearly doesn't want to have to. I mean, I'm surprised, and he obviously don't have access to Zelensky Coke to have that air of like confidence about the nonsense he has to do. You know.
I don't think it's the donors, because everyone has abandoned him. I think what the people who are supporting him are really the old guard of Democrat supporters, like senior citizens, like people who have to be wheeled in to vote. All right, people who are not fully there, because what remains of the Democrat voting base are people who are not young or people who are or more self-aware. I mean, voter turnout has been abysmal the last 2 elections. So maybe this year will be different because of what happened on November 5th of 2024.
It's like RoboCop, except not in Detroit, in Chicago instead.
Great. Next thing we got is Ed 209. Listen, if I get shot up, just remember I lived a good life.
This is very reminiscent of RoboCop, down to the mayor, the weird South American crime gangs.
So I want to show you a video. Well, here's one more black guy talking about what's happening in Chicago.
See, I'm pissed off.
That's Jamal Green.
Out there.
I'm sorry. Say again.
That's Jamal Green. He ran for mayor of Chicago twice. He's an entrepreneur and activist, and he's been on my show. He has been one of the people that's been calling out Brandon Johnson from the beginning.
Okay, let's watch.
See, I'm pissed off because a lot of people out there are acting like they don't understand what is actually happening in the city of Chicago in regards to the ICE raids. Let me tell you something. Black people, again, are collateral damage in this. And all the black people that are getting mad at ICE and Donald Trump, hold on, you got to get mad at the politicians right here locally, because it was the politicians right here in your city that decided to dump the migrant issue on the black community like they do every single time. When they came across the border and checked asylum, they were able to come over into our city and get incentives like medical care, 6 months free rent, free transportation, free child care. We fed them each and every day. And those people that they were giving assistance to, they didn't go up to the north side and to the white community. All of the people out there protesting that are white, they didn't open up their doors for them, and they didn't want none of the shelters on their neighborhood. Guess where they opened up the shelters? In the black community. Those same school buildings that they shut down in 2013 that were educating black kids, they took those school buildings and they made them migrant shelters. And then they gave over $700 million to a company out in Florida to manage those shelters. They took the buildings that you've been asking for to be developed and build new housing, and they made them into migrant homes, giving them 6 months of free rent. They dumped the problem on black community like they do every single time. When it was George Floyd riots, they closed downtown and pushed people to loot into the neighborhoods because they knew that people didn't care. Where was all the people right now? They weren't in our neighborhoods helping us open up back up our businesses. They were not in our neighborhoods helping us clean up. They weren't in our neighborhoods when we were fighting for Laquan McDonald, who was shot 16 times by Jason Van Dyke. I didn't see them at the protest. But now, right now, they want to make black people a part of the fight. When they made us collateral damage in the first place, we are always losing. That's why ICE is raiding buildings where black people are, is because they put them there. They pay for their rent. They pay for their food. They pay for their child care. They pay for everything, but they didn't put them where they live. They put them where black people live because they don't want to invest into the community. So that's the easiest place to dump a problem. So yes, we can say ICE is being aggressive. Yes, we know that our armed forces are always aggressive more to us. But what we can say is that our politicians did it to us. They should have never allowed them to come over here in droves like they did. And then when they did come over here, they should have never put them and dumped them in black communities, acting like we didn't want economic development, like we didn't deserve better schools and deserve community centers and deserve grocery stores. We deserve better. And our politicians need to act like it. Stop putting everything before us.
Wow. So that sounds like that guy might be mayor.
He should be. He's one of the people I call the dauntless few, who actually has integrity and has been calling out Mayor Brandon Johnson, and even before then, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, and even before then, Mayor Rahm Emanuel. He's been on my show a few times. He's one of the few that's actually reaching out and trying to uplift and build communities across the city of Chicago through activism, through entrepreneurship programs. And yes, he's been running for mayor twice. And I did ask him, would you consider doing it again? He didn't give me an answer. He's been through a lot. He's been through the machine, but he's one of the few good people in Chicago that I could say actually has the heart and cares about the city, unlike the last 3 mayors that we've had.
Okay, so here's a tweet of his. He says, go look at a couple of pastors who were with Brandon, meaning the current Chicago mayor, today in his press conference. They just happen to have been awarded the ability to run migrant shelters, like Pastor Chris Harris, who was up front. Selling their ass for money while communities get nothing. So he's saying, so Jamal Green is saying that those pastors who are supporting Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago right now, they're getting money. They're getting
paid
money
off, yeah.
to keep this migrant problem going, right? That's what he's saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's always a profit in it. Same thing like with these nonviolent programs. You know, one of the looters for the smash and grab that happened at Louis Vuitton in Michigan Avenue, before you came here to Chicago at Zanies, there was a smash and grab, and one of the looters was actually photographed with Governor J.B. Pritzker, and he was part of a nonviolent program, you know, for people to be reformed to get back on the streets. See, the thing is, it's all about money, and these programs aren't about rehabilitating or making people better or building up the entire city. So, you know, when you see ICE and FBI in the streets and patrolling and rounding up quote unquote bad guys, I just want to say this, you know, Trump, if you really want to make a difference, go to City Hall, because that's where the real criminals are at. That's where the real bad guys are at. Because as soon as the occupation is over, once ICE goes home, once the National Guard goes home, once the FBI goes home, the cancer will regrow on the street corners, in the alleys, in the abandoned buildings. The mobsters, the gangsters, the cartels, the criminals, all the bad guys will be back because the beating heart is in City Hall. So Trump, if you see this segment, if you see this show, anyone that's rooting for ICE, do a Blues Brothers reenactment of them surrounding City Hall, because that's what needs to be done. You want to stop criminality, go to City Hall. Otherwise, what we're seeing here, it's going to regrow again and be far worse.
Here's what the Pritzkers, though, are. I mean, how much does the governor drive that? Because Chicago is that's the most major city there, isn't it? And the Pritzkers are like the Soros of Japanese detainment camp people. Like the Pritzkers made their money stealing from Japanese detainees in World War II. You know that? And so I imagine they're a crime family is how I look at them. And I would have to imagine they'd be much the way Bill Clinton ran Arkansas. And the Mina cartel, the all that crack into the black neighborhoods in the 90s, it seems very reminiscent of that to me.
Well, the political machine is different. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead, kid.
Well, the thing is, remember, Madigan right now is
Michael Madigan. Tell people who he is.
Yeah, Michael Madigan at one point was the longest state house speaker in American history. He was also part of the Democrat machine. So the reason why Chicago is the way that it is and politics is the way it is in Illinois is because of him. He's one of the main architects. He's one of the main people that.
And he's in prison now.
He will soon be going into prison. Right now, he has 2 weeks before he has to report in. He's left of the old guard, so the whole political machine right now is up in the air. It's like, who's going to control it? Maybe the Pritzkers, maybe somebody else. Who knows? But the future of the machine is up in the air, and 2027 is going to be that year for city politics in Chicago.
So here's a Hispanic alderman, and here's a black guy, Jamal Green. They're not calling out ICE. They're calling out the government in Chicago, the mayor, and they're calling out the white protesters against ICE, right? So here's what Alderman Raymond Lopez says. 47 people shot this weekend in Chicago. No protests or calls for peace. No politicians or clergy demanding an end to the violence because they can't blame the president for it. Most Chicago leaders are hypocrites and grief peddlers. Nothing more, nothing less. And so that's when Jamal Green says, go look at those pastors. They're on the take. They're getting money to keep this migrant problem going. So you can have all your ire directed at ICE and Trump. That's easy. Yep. But number one, why doesn't the Chicago mayor work with ICE so he can avoid some of those problems? A. B, why did they turn it into a sanctuary city in the first place when they didn't have the money to take care of those people? C, why did they send them to poor black neighborhoods where they had just closed down their schools and then pay $700 million to put them in those schools that were empty? I mean, that is nuts. You're going to take $700 million and give it to a company from Florida to run a migrant shelter at an abandoned a school that they closed down in a poor black neighborhood instead of taking that $700 million and investing it in that community? That's mental. And of course, people are going to welcome ICE in those situations and turn on their politicians like they should.
There are a couple reasons why maybe this happened. Again, moving the migrants in the southwest side neighborhoods to lower the property costs, lower the values of the property, so more people can swoop in, or those with money can swoop in to gentrify the neighborhoods and push everyone out. The Coca-Cola classic. Yeah. Then, of course, Brandon Johnson not working with ICE. He probably got a phone call. Somebody picked up the phone and said, "Hey, don't work with them. We'll take care of you. We'll make sure you get reelected," or some kind of jazz. And then on top of that, you have everything else. It's a perfect storm to make Chicago into a political and, dare I say it, a real war zone. because this is going to get out of hand because people's emotions are very high here in the city. It's already, not only is it heavily taxed, but people are struggling to survive. And these politicians who want to play a game, this game might blow up in their face too, and they can't, and they will very well soon lose control.
It's kind of nuts. If you want to hear our jokes about ICE, come see us in Irvine, California, Australia, Burbank, California, the day after Thanksgiving, and Pottstown, Pennsylvania on December 6th. Go to jimmydore.com for those tickets. But I want to show you one more thing. Now, this video is kind of crazy. It's about 4 minutes long. And so these ICE guys show up in an unmarked vehicle with masks on, and they try to apprehend one Hispanic guy. And spoiler alert, they fail. And they do it in such a gross, horrible way. These are the most unprofessional law enforcement agents I've ever seen maybe in my life. And that's saying
worse than the lady cops we watched? Worse than that?
Well, neck and neck.
This is terrible. This is a situation that got out of control.
Watch.
Wait, what, if it lose a wig?
Watch this, Kurt. Watch this. So we'll watch it. I'll try not to stop it, but maybe I will. We'll see. So, by the way, this is at 63rd and Costner. Now, in Chicago. Now, if you want to know where that is, that's a stone's throw away from where I grew up and lived my whole life. I used to live right by there. I used to live right there. I used to live on 62nd. So this is 63rd and Costner. And this is kind of unbelievable. What they're doing this in the middle of a regular neighborhood in Chicago. And the people in the neighborhood are not on board for this. Well, so it's not that they're on board for illegal immigration. They're against how they're doing it. And watch what happens. I don't like the idea of cops in masks. But we'll watch in an unmarked car. So let's watch this. So they're doing this in the middle of traffic. By the way, Costner Avenue is a semi-busy street. Mm-hmm. It's not like Ventura Boulevard, but it's close.
La migra!
How bad are you at apprehending someone?
Well, the guy's in great shape, Jimmy.
How bad are you?
The guy works out. What am I supposed to do?
So
be careful, he's pregnant.
So this guy's coming over and he's going, "Are you illegal?" He's asking this guy, "Are you illegal?" And this guy's yelling, "No, I'm not."
Well, that other guy's brave to go up to them.
Yep. But then more people start showing up.
Hey! No!
What is happening?
Why is he just sitting there trying to sit on top of the... This is how you apprehend someone? Did you skip the entire police academy?
They're probably giving anyone a weapon, body armor that'll do the job. By the way, there will be a funeral procession that will be passing by in this same video.
Let's watch.
Yeah.
There's a funeral procession.
Yep.
How bad are these cops?
It's like a Ukrainian recruitment video.
This is exactly what it looks like, a Ukrainian recruitment video. In the middle of a busy street. This is their big idea.
And there are people with cameras. There are people seeing this. There's the CTV footage. There's everyone passing by. And everyone is seeing this out-of-control situation that is happening in the streets of Chicago that will repeat itself throughout this week.
Let him go!
Look at this guy. Oh, wow. Keep your mask on, for sure.
Let him go! Let him go! Get off him!
Ayúdame, quítalo.
Get the fuck out of here! Let me see your fucking face, bro!
Let me see your face, bro.
Let him go!
No way.
And he gets away, thank God.
No way. What did they give up?
Yep.
Those are two of the biggest loser and law enforcement agents I've ever seen anywhere.
Were they trained ever? It looks like it was just some guys put on some bandito masks.
That's what it looks like. That's how they taught you how to apprehend someone? No. I could have done better.
And was this person just walking on the street? I mean, I don't even understand what the arrest was.
Who knows where they got him, right?
Were they recruited with those ads, but then not trained?
So then you wait till the guy's in the middle of a busy street to try to apprehend him? You stop your car in the middle of a busy street to try to apprehend a guy? Is this seriously? These guys are morons. Those guys are morons. And of course they have to keep their mask on because they don't want anybody to know what kind of morons that the ICE is hiring.
Who hired them? They should have to wear a mask.
I would add on to this, if we remember the video of the guy on the bike being chased away by ICE, what was his crime? I mean, he didn't do anything. So to answer Steph's question, was he walking down the street? Yeah, probably he was walking down the street, minding his own business. He was asked if he was illegal by the one pedestrian, and he said no. So the thing is, there are other videos out there. Again, it's important to verify everything, but there are alleged videos out there of people just being randomly picked up or targeted because they fit a profile. This whole entire situation with ICE coming here is just going to be a powder keg that will explode that no one will control. This city is not ready for what's going to come next.
Well, here's that video we were talking about. Here's the video of this guy who breaks no law, and the ICE decide to go and try to arrest him, and of course, he gets away. So he's verbally insulting the cops. By the way, not a crime. That's called First Amendment. And they decide that we're gonna over
a tough guy.
Yeah, we're gonna overreach and go beyond what the law says, and we're gonna try and pick this guy up and throw him in a van.
Get him! What's up?
They're in a busy area of town.
Of course they are. Look how nice that city is.
Yeah.
And they got the Benny Hill out there trying to chase these guys down. So that guy didn't break a law. They didn't suspect that guy of being an illegal immigrant. He was speaking English. And they just went after him. So who knows what the deal was with that guy at 63rd and Costner that we just showed you? Who knows what that was?
Did they hire these guys the way that chick in Ohio hired that illegal guy who was a fake doctor and he became the superintendent? So they hired some agency to go find these people, like probably the ones you use to find prison guards there for private prisons, because those guys seem like prison guards, not like trained officers of anything.
They don't seem like trained officers at all. None of
I'm being charitable saying prison guards because I think they get more training.
You could.
I know.
Go ahead.
I know that when I did site security before we did our first tour in Baghdad, part of my unit, like we did more training on how to properly detain and de-escalate a situation, not escalate, de-escalate a situation. So everything that was happening there on Cosner Street was everything you're not supposed to do, because you don't want to have a crowd surrounding you, because what happens? Emotions run high, and a lot of these guys' weapon discipline is absolutely abysmal. There's one video of one ICE agent who's telling a person to get back. He takes off his weapon, not even considering like somebody could grab it and then use it against him. It is a disaster. It's a recipe for absolute failure.
Of private contractor. It reeks of private contractor.
Yep.
Yes.
It does. All right. Well, Kit Cabello, I really appreciate you coming on and giving us insight into what's happening on the ground in Chicago. We will have you. I'm sure we're going to have you back on to talk about more of this stuff. It's doesn't seem to be getting crazy, and I can't wait for Brandon Johnson to. I bet he doesn't even run for mayor again. I bet he doesn't run.
I personally think he is not going to run for re-election. I think his approval rating is so low, he'd be foolish to do so. But if I could leave this on a final note, in that video, we saw a funeral procession drive by while that man was being arrested. And I began to ponder more about it because I talked about it on my show earlier this morning. And that funeral procession is Chicago. That's going to be the city if this madness continues on. These politicians, Trump, Brandon Johnson, Pritzker, all the key players, they want to play this game, but it's going to fail for them because Chicago is not ready for this madness and the absolute anger that's been boiling in the city for 8 years.
Well, they defund their neighborhoods. They don't put any money, and then all of a sudden they have $700 million to house migrants in a school that they shut down in a black neighborhood. Instead of opening the school and having after-school programs and whatever, and investing in their community, they brought in migrants from other countries, and then they gave $700 million to a Florida company to take care of those migrants instead of taking care of their own city. Of course those people are going to hate Brandon Johnson and welcome ICE. Of course they are.
Is this too crazy a prediction? I mean, after watching these fine ICE officers that they clearly hired earlier that afternoon from like a lunch line, do you think it's going to turn out a lot of them are illegal immigrants, those ICE agents?
Wouldn't that be ironic if the ICE agents were illegal immigrants? That would be hilarious.
Because these guys, where the hell they come from that are doing this job? They don't look like no agents and nothing I ever saw. They look like illegals posing as something to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Kid Cabello, everybody check out Heartlands Media on YouTube. Appreciate it. All right, brother.
Thank you very much.
So, Jimmy, people are saying the reason why they're masking the ICE is because they've been doxxed.
Yeah, well, then don't take the job,
and that their families are at risk.
Cops don't. So every cop in America could be doxxed. So you're saying every cop in America could be doxxed? So cops have
they
to
wear a name tag on their badge that says their name.
That says your name.
The officer, his name on his badge.
That's right. So
what is this?
So don't take the job then if you're afraid. Cops have to put their name on their shirt. They have to have their a badge, and they have to tell you their name and badge number if you ask them. And if you don't want to do that, then don't take the job.
Then you're a punk if you got to wear a mask.
Then you're a punk. If you have to wear a mask, you're a punk.
As a cop, now Antifas wear masks because they don't want to be
caught.
That's right.
I
know that. But if you're enforcing the law, you look like you're weak and illegitimate if you have to mask up for that.
That's exactly right. You look like you're some kind of Gestapo.
So the state's not legitimate? Is that what I'm to take from that? Because the badge says, hey, this is my name. You're not killing me. You're attacking the state. So you can if you want, but it's going to come down hard on you because you attacked the federal government when you attacked me.
Right.
It's not a hiding my identity as if I'm working in a foreign country.
Yeah. 100% against the mask. I don't care. And it has, by the way, what proof has there been of ICE agents being doxxed and their families being killed? Has that happened? No, it hasn't.
What in the fuck? I mean, you're the cops.
You're the
What
cops.
happens when you threaten cops' families? They don't come and get you?
Right.
Are these not real cops? Are these not real cops? Is that what this is?
They've been threatening cops' families since the beginning of time. My dad was a cop. He didn't wear a mask. He was a cop in a black neighborhood in Chicago. Didn't wear a mask.
Who would be dumb enough to attack the federal police?
Right. Yeah. Anyway, why this moron doesn't have a mask on? What isn't he afraid of being doxxed? But he does have a military outfit on, like he's in Baghdad or like he's in a Mosul or Afghanistan. But he's not. He's probably standing right across the street from TJ Maxx in Chicago.
There are soldiers that wore that shit wear a mask. I don't think they did they?
Right? I don't know.
I
Anyway,
think they had a name, rank, and serial number that was available.
that's right.
What is this?
This is not America. All right, over to Steph.
Yeah. I think what you also don't understand, or some people in the chat, is like what you're seeing they're doing to people, pulling up with masks, hauling anybody in. What you're seeing them do to the lesser among us,
They'll do to you.
They're going to do to you.
You want to be arrested, but you want to have cops in masks with no name tags on come and arrest. How do you even know they're cops? So now come to me.